Welcome back to the artist always known as Alejandro. I'm Alejandro, the artist, always known as me. So here we go with another of my female characters I created. She's a speedster who can speed at warp speed. Yeah, her speeds can reach that level. So I call her Warpra. Now, Warpra started off as a different character who had spikes that shot out from her wrist things, almost like Zabrak. Then I'm like, well, I already have that in Zabrak, so let me do... I just made her like a girl in a leather jacket and pants with a gun. So I'm like, well, no, that's kind of boring. But sometime in the 2000s, I created a character I called Lady Quick. But what kind of name is that? Oh, watch out. Here comes Lady Quick. She's going to make you some Nestle's Quick. But I love the design of Lady Quick. So I'm like, I want a female speedster. So I said, wait a second. Now that I'm doing my fight to save the universe, let's include her. And she will be Warpra now. Lady Quick is Warpra. And that's who we're drawing here. Running, of course. She can run at warp speed. What is that going to look like? Yeah, that's going to be something. So I did a little rough sketch in pencil of how I wanted it to look, the kind of direction. I really want her leaning forward, like she's really pushing it. So I just kind of did this figure in pencil and lightening up so it can be under my layer where I do my digital pencil for you here in Clip Studio Paint. She has a pretty big role in the story. That's going to be with some characters who are in a town full of superpowered beings. But there's some that are oppressing the others, and she joins a few of them to help out. I'm drawing these little shoulder, as you can see I draw these little shoulder pieces now. It helps a little bit in figuring out where that shoulder muscle begins and ends. Just this little round circle. Maybe I'll try and change it up, but it does give it a little basis. I mean, shoulders are very interesting on women. They seem a little closer towards the head. But then again, most characters are 3 heads across. But I wanted to get her with her hands really forward. Don't want too much of a bent up. I want her like really slicing through this warp speed she's generating. I think here I make her hands a little too small. I wanted this kind of finger, straight finger kind of runner feel. As you see in my other video, my short video on this, I have Hotfoot, my male speedster. And I have him with his fist clenched. But I wanted her with her fingers straight. That kind of dynamic runner's pose. So here is the first... you'll see as I go on. This is the first idea I had of her running. I had no model. Just kind of was playing around with the poses. Like I've been sticking with it and getting a feel of what she should look like, practicing my little things that I've learned throughout this. Little bosom lines, get a center line there so we know that's where the center of her body is. It's good, kind of breaking the upper body in half here. Although I quickly can see that she's not lining up, so I'm going to move the pencil layer to where it really should be anatomically. That helps a lot. As you can see, that happens. I don't know, maybe I thought the pencil line looked okay. Again, I was just kind of randomly sketching this idea on a piece of paper, and proportions weren't really something I was focusing on, but here I just want to zoom in and work on that rib cage, see how it lines up, because this is a very dynamic pose. She is running. She is in motion. And there's a lot of muscles and body parts in play that are working. Especially if she's going at warp speed, there's a lot of stress on the body. But of course she can handle it because she's Warpra. And I really wanted this knee high up. Like I said, I want her slicing through this warp speed barrier so people can hardly even see she's coming. Got to take down the bad guys before they even know what hit them. Yes, this video I'm doing a little different. You can hear my voiceover is nice and clear. And my video I've sped up just a little bit more. I'll be honest. I'm going to be honest and straightforward with you. This wasn't much of a labor of love. It was a labor of pain. This running position is very strange because it does look weird when you put the leg behind it, as I'm shifting the pencil sketch again. Unless you really see someone in motion. And I wasn't giving myself a runner as reference, which I should have in the initial beginning of the sketch. But I figured I could do it on my own. I've drawn Hotfoot. Figured same principle. You know, the leg is back there. Gets just a little smaller as it goes back. Because she is kind of at this 3/4 angle coming at you. I don't want a side view of someone running. You're missing all the details. And I wanted her to have her toes pointing down like she's really skimming the surface. Almost like the Flash. Alright, so you can see now I've changed things up a little bit. I did use 2 photos of women running. I combined them and drew inspiration. I wanted to get a perspective of that. So I think I took most of the stuff from the upper body of one, and I really liked the position of the legs in the second model. So I drew that for inspiration. And it helped give me a little more of a feel of how the body lies and where the muscles line up, how the arm is. Maybe even better angle of her face. Well, maybe being a very big M in that statement. And normally in my sketches, you'll see me do the character, the nose, the mouth, the design, everything in the pencil phase. But at this point, I don't know. I was just tired. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to go straight into the inking phase and give her look. Now, even this is not the way it's going to wind up. I just want to show you this because this gives you an idea of where I started and the idea I had in my head. Plus, I really wasn't using my older drawings of her as a frame of reference. I kind of know the costume, but I kind of wanted to tweak it a little bit. Figured this would be a little more dynamic look for her little goggles here. But I'm just leaving it in here for now so you can see what I have to go through. Why it was such a labor of pain. This neck was driving me bonkers. Because it really looked good on the model. But then You'll see what happens. Then I wanted to have this because she has, as you can see in the thumbnail, I have her hair flowing out. So I wanted to show, just give a little hint of her hair coming out. So it was like a base. I could kind of figure out that's where I want her hair to be flowing out of. And then there's her tricep going into her elbow. And this very strange bend I was working with. I was curving her fingers, which I ultimately don't keep. But I draw them anyway, just so you can see what they look like, see how long it takes to get there. Looking at my own hand, I was using my own hand as reference, like how do the fingers lie when you're in that serious runner position? Your thumb's going to be tucked in underneath your fingers there. And I didn't want too much of a close bend. I really wanted her extending her arms. But I kept this one for a little bit. It just seems too relaxed. This seems a little too small. I tried. Either way, I do hope you still enjoyed joining me. I know this is supposed to be a fun and creative space. And it should be. It should be. Now here I just took the pencil sketch out because it was just messing with me. And I decided to do the fingers from my own imagination as how I think they would present themselves. How they'd be. I was feeling a little better doing that. Moving right along. I think I'm still, my brush is still at a 4. I'm still using the turnip pen for this. It still seems to be running a bit smoothly. But I did like the way the lower half of the body was curving. It was a really good pose. You can see how the hip bone lies and the curve. It's just what I wanted to see. And this bend in the leg, such a dynamic pose. So I drew, like using that word because we are drawing, I drew inspiration from that to get this pose. I know most of these have been from my imagination completely, but I think I really needed a photo reference just to see how the body looks, because this part was getting me. Where this leg underneath stretches out to and from, and how does it look? Where does it line up? Yeah, how close is it to that area? What muscles are being flexed? The only thing here, I think the models were wearing really thick sneakers. So as you can see, I changed some things in midstream. I changed the goggles. I didn't like the goggles. I kept them, these I think the way I had them anyway. And then I made little adjustments to her hand. And now I'm going to do the design. I wanted these little diamond designs on her gloves. I think it's a cool design. And then move on to her shoulders. I have a very similar design to my character Phaser, which I have as a short video of her. It's very similar. Yep, right there. But Lady Quick, aka Warpra, got it first. And I just like it. It does kind of represent speed. Speed is fast, and the arrows like go, pointing. And I had this little symbol in the middle. But I did want to have these little that little accent. I think I wanted to go across, but I think on the shoulders it was fine. I think I was playing around with some other ideas here, but as you can see, I'll keep it in here. It just seemed like it was too much. Like doing it broken up that way, I'm not feeling it. It kind of takes away. So, it's what it is. You experiment and try things. If you're doing a character you never did before. It's been a long time since I've drawn her. It has been a long time, years, since I drew Warpra. Well, I'm still doing this. And I say to myself, well, time to move on. I just wanted to now just give a little accent. Here I started doing the same design for her belt. I wanted it to be diamonds across. Just having trouble with the shapes. But I do want a little bigger diamond by her hip. I realized I was running into that, so I just drew a line where the belt would be. And as you can see, I ended up doing that. I wanted it to go with more of her waist. But here I have the little diamond shapes on her boot area. Yeah, I think I had to change the muscles on that leg. It's a general idea. So yeah, you can see the belt one. Just have to move it around. That's when you're drawing this way. Rotating that canvas. I think her leg, yeah, her leg seemed a little too thin. But this, you'll see I'm going to cut away now with a finished product on her boot. Yeah, it just drove me crazy. But there they are. We're just erasing the lines that expanded past the leg. You can see that nice little line I added on her hip, and just kind of representative of the designs on her shoulders. I wanted it in the hip area too. So I created another layer, so now I can do her hair. She's going to have short hair, as you can see in the sketch. I didn't want her to have long hair. That just seems preposterous, running that fast. Having her hair exposed seems a little crazy too, but it looks cool. It just looks cool. I'm still at the turnip pen. I think I'm at 3. Put the brush size to 3. So I have a little more control. Just playing around with the wind, whipping past her in the warp speed tunnel she's running through. And I mean, if you saw the Flash, the newer Flash movie, his running in the movie was a little weird. It's like he was in this gliding. His feet were just kind of skating along at warp speed. It wasn't like he was digging in and running. It was a little peculiar. And just erasing some of those lines for the head, because it's going to be too much. We want to see the hair. You wouldn't see the head. You'd see the hair. It's good. It's very quick, lady. And now we're moving on. I'm using my good old G pen to do these lines. I wanted to try something different. So I did put them on a different layer, although I did put some. I did put some on the layer with the regular lines, but you know how that goes. It's okay. I liked using the G pen for this. And as you can see, I also did a little something different with her little pieces around her neck. I had a little diamond shape there, so it kind of carries over from what's going on in her belt. And it works. It makes a nice point to her little arrow emblem. Yeah, her head took me a long time. I had to draw it a lot. It was painstaking. It was either too big, the lips weren't lining up. I don't know what happened there. But you move on. Started doing this, but I realized I really need this at a more of a side view angle. It's a lot easier to do these lines. Interestingly, the G pen seems to look lighter. I was trying to do some shade underneath where her hair hits, but I'm like, I try one more attempt over here, but I think I keep that one. I'm like, no, that's enough. I'll add a little bit to her lip. Not that you could see it in the wide shot, but I know it's there. That's what matters. Moving right along. I decided to add the same accent. Whoops. Decided to add the same little accent to her neck. It's on her little cowl. And I wanted to show some of those shoulder muscles working. Remember, she's pushing warp speed. What is that doing to her body? Yeah, a little bit there. And of course, her little bosom shading. If I can get it right here. Good. Very heroic. What did I end up doing here? Just going a little wide to make sure everything looks all right. I want to make sure it's looking kosher. I think this is when I discovered I did a lot of my detail lines on the same line as the regular line art. And I'm like, okay, that's enough of that. So I went back to the layer that I wanted my details on. Just wanted to keep it simple again. Women don't need a lot of details. Just wanted to add slight detail to her hands. Just a little. Just a little. Here we go. And then a little bit of bicep. I just sewed that little muscle working. I did want to draw some of this because this would probably be in the shade. Leading into her elbow. Some lines went past, so we must erase them. We don't want any little things that look like hairs. I just decided to get some accent on her palm leading into her wrist. And just some lines where the fingers are. The glove curves. And that was it. Oh yeah, I had to fill in there. As you go along, you'll see some lines don't connect. Now the good old rib cage. I had a line as guidance, and I kept it so I could do my little rib cage lines, as I like to do in here in these drawings. Going down to the abs. And a little center line. And this leading into the hip. Ooh. Yeah, this baby took me a long time to complete. But as you can see, it's only like less than a half hour in this video, which is okay. I wanted to speed it up and give you better audio. That's right, I did do those lines there. Just a little bit. Just a hint. Maybe going at this fast speed, there's not going to be much shadow. Of course, I did want to accent her hips. Well, her hip. Leading in there. Some of it's touching, some of it isn't. I kind of like it not having to touch. It just gives it a little more accent, I guess. Now to the knee. I think I want to just add something to the front and then add lines over here. And just take out that main line I did. Yeah. Just want to add a little bit of something that you can see it's bending and muscles are working at the base here. I really need to put in something on the bottom of her shoes. Kind of like that. Just enough shadow. With the erasable hairs. There we go. Get rid of those. Got no more use for those guys. And I realized, yeah, I should put an ankle in there, huh? Go back to my turnip pen and do it up. Good. Back to that detail, and I'm going to move on to her other knee. Yeah, I like the opposite lines. I like the long lines going down at the kneecap, in the front of the kneecap, and on the side, those accents going in the opposite direction. A little shin muscle there, something there for the calf. And I realized I must do an ankle on the side of her foot. There you go. And then, of course, I'm going to draw my little soul lines, because it's all about soul. With the G pen, of course. Get rid of all those little excess hairs. And there's one more thing. A lot of times under the leg, obviously there's going to be some shade there because this leg's in front. I notice a lot of artists do the straight line thing. So I wanted to do that, and it gets a little smaller as it goes to the top. Being it's on the same detail layer, I didn't want to erase my little hip curves. So I had to zoom in. Like, oop, I'm erasing them. I need to zoom in to see where these... There we go. The shading stops. I got it. So there she is. And now I wanted to add some speed lines. So there they are. I wanted to keep it like... I don't know why I chose a pink color. Well, her costume is usually mainly yellow, and there's red. The boots and the gloves and the goggles are red. So I said, let's make it some streak like this. Just to give it something. A nice accent to Warpra. My fast cosmic character will be in fight to save the universe. And there you have it. Just one more line for good luck. So, whew. Glad that's over. I mean, it came out good. So I hope you enjoyed following along and drawing Warpra with me. And a nice zoom in of Warpra one more time. So thanks for joining me. Hope it was fun, no matter what. And you had a good time. And like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on the artist known as Alejandro. Keep creating.